Here, these are all family burial areas. One or two buildings like this one, it's quite a new building like this one, which now is empty. I mean, okay, everywhere you're going to see apartment buildings. Now what you see there, all those domes, can you see there? This is known as Hosh al-Basha. Basha means it's the family of Muhammad Ali. This is when they started using the titles Pasha. And this is one of the burial areas of the family of Muhammad Ali, the founder of modern Egypt. So this is much more modern than what you see here. We're coming to visit Imam al-Shafi'i. Now, to give you an idea of Imam al-Shafi'i is the founder of one of the four schools of law, of Sunni law. He lived in the beginning of the 9th century. He died around the 820s. He was not, again, originally Egyptian. He was originally from Medina in Saudi Arabia. But he finished his travel where he was studying and ended up by writing all his treatises here in Egypt. All right? So he died in Egypt. And he was buried in a very simple tomb, like, those simple tombstones that you see there. Because at that time, the idea of building a mausoleum had not really become popular in Egypt yet. Then after that, from the 10th century onwards, we have a dynasty known as the Fatimids, and they were Shiites. The Shiites started building shrines for members of the Prophet's family. So people would go and start visiting the members of the Prophet's family because they venerate members of the Prophet family. So the idea now of building a mausoleum for people to go and visit was becoming very popular. The Fatimid shrines sometimes are memorials where there's no one buried there, but you're just building a memorial and asking people to come and visit the memory of that person. At the end of the Fatimid dynasty, the famous Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi, Saladin, came to Egypt. He's founded the Ayyubid dynasty, and he was a Sunni Muslim. He brought back Sunni Islam to Egypt. He's the one who built the first madrasas in order to teach Sunni Islam again. And then he noticed that all the Egyptians were in fact visiting the Fatimid shrines. And yet he thought that Imam al-Shafi'i was just as important as any member of the Prophet's family because he was a scholar. So he came to this area here where the tombstone was. He added on top of the old brick tombstone a beautiful wooden one, and then built beside it a madrasa to teach the Shafi'i law. This is how this area was now becoming more popular, because now you had a madrasa, you had students coming here to study beside the tomb of Imam Shafi'i. By 1211, one of his successors, Al-Kamil, decided to build this huge mausoleum. We call it a shrine because it's still the same idea of a shrine where you're building a memorial for someone, all right? But this is much bigger than any Fatimid shrine. The Fatimid shrines were small shrines. So he was really attracting the attention of the Egyptians towards the fact, if you're going to venerate a person, then venerate him for his deeds or his thought or because he's a scholar, not necessarily because he's from the bloodline of the Prophet Muhammad. So this was built in 1211, this big square that you see, which is the mausoleum, and the ruling family at the time of Al-Kamil, they in fact are also buried inside this big square room. The smaller square that you see above it, can you see there, that's the transitional zone that is going to carry the dome, because you need to turn your square into an octagon to be able to put the dome. So this is your transitional zone. Then the dome that you see is in fact a wooden dome. It was rebuilt in the 15th century. All right, so that's not the one of 1211. And it is covered outside with very thin metal sheets to protect the wood. You notice the boat? Well, some say that this was to put grains for the birds. I have a problem with this. How did they ever go off? I mean, that's a wooden dome. It's not easy to climb up a wooden dome. Personally, I think that the second theory, which says that this is a symbol of knowledge, when we say a sea of knowledge, this is always, we say in Arabic the same, bahr min al-ilm, that this is to indicate the knowledge, all right? So probably this is it. It's just, that's why we put this big boat, to say, come and visit this man because